This article in your day Simon Chavav. Save out the dollar day 132 of the supplemental Arukh HaShulchan Yomi series. Chavav. Din veked v'neked v'veshet, the law of a hole in the esophagus of the or in the intestines. Kung mar shchita before the shchita is complete. Av Kosman Reichberg Zan Rambam writes he slipped shchita b'shal kol kona. He began the shchita and shech the entire trachea. V'char nikva reya, and then the lung was pierced. V'char gomer shchita, and he completed the shchita. Raise a treifa. It's a treif. Of nikva koyim shchita, since the lung was pierced before completion of shchita. Chen kol kayetz b'zeh, and so to anything similar kan l'shoina. Chen pasuk b'tur b'shulchan aruch. To ensure pasuk similarly, beard vard when he means to say it's well known shareya tluya v'kona that the lung is linked to the trachea. It's also known that if you've completed enough to make a kosher shchita, then the lung is pierced. No trephus at all on this. We can't so therefore this is far to say once you got the kona, so to speak, out of the way by shechting it. Even though the vesha does not, the esophagus has not been shechted, this limb, this organ, which is contingent on the link to the trachea, which is in this case the lung. Trephus clouds. It's not relevant to talk about trephus concerning it. So its life force has already been snapped. It's as if it's set aside by itself. It's a nice far. Don't say. As long as the animal is not sheft in its entirety, all the organs have life force. They show because they nourish each other. I don't know if this is true biologically, but it doesn't matter because it's true halachically. Half of the life force of the lung is contingent on the esophagus. Here's treif, and there's a treif, something which can make a half life force treif. Similar or anything similar. Such as the veshet first. And for you slaughtered the trachea, the intestines were pierced. Even though the intestines are linked to and contingent on the esophagus. As long as the kana is not shechted, they have this half-life force in Hakana. There's trefa chatzichis and there's a trefa for half-life force. Zeldas Arif, a Rosh, Rishonim, this is the opinion of Rif and Rosh, and other great Rishonim. Base, in Neba Gemara, in the word after base, Yeshim Adam Meforsh, that those say explicitly, Shochat Hakana V'chag and Nikva Area, if you shechted the kana and then the rea was pierced, it's Shela. I was saying especially with alpha for some reason. They reject this mehalacha. Because those who argue there. And they hold the main travel chiyus. If there's no travel for half-life force, it can't be kosher. Even if the intestines can pierce after shechting the trachea, it should be kosher. The intestines are contingent on the esophagus. As it knows, after you concluded half of the chiyus animal, treifa is no longer relevant. Conversely, if this treifa chatzich gamanikva rea treifa, even if the rea, the lung, has been pierced after the shchita sakana, it's still treifa. Rabbis, is what they say. The Geshem treifa, just like you could see, that's the point. That if the intestines become pierced after shechting the kana only, you can see that that's treifa. So the same thing is the true where the lung become pierced. Halakha is like that opinion. Okay, in other words, that there is treifa chatzichius. Avarashi zav amar varashba. There's a lot of rishonim. They hold the opposite, not like the Rambam. If you shech the kana and then the lung becomes pierced, it's okay. I'm saying or she's a kana kshela. The person who argues is true, holds that the intestines are pierced after shchitas sakana, it's kosher. Then trefa chatzichilus. There's no trefa for half life force. Look, I'm say they don't hold like him. But if the lung is pierced after you shech the trachea or its majority, or if the intestines become pierced after you shech the esophagus or its majority, lays my point. The whole question of Ein Shiva, Yesh Shiva, Chatzichius, according to these Rishonim, is whether the Yesh Shiva, Ein Shiva, the Chatzichius for the organ which is contingent on the siman which has not yet been shechted. But the organ which is contingent on the siman which has been shechted, that's out of the parsha. It can only become treif according to them. Even though it's made the Rashi and the Ramah and the Rashba, this means not being brought down Rishonim. In the Shulchan Aruch at all. Shita Kam Makdei Rishon obviously holds like the Rambam, the Suffolk. Is that the Rambam? This to in Shulchan Aruch. Oh, the Rif the Rosh. Okay, so Shita Kam Makdei Rishon do Suffolk Torah since the Suffolk Torah says we machmer like the first debate. The bracket says here something which you probably would understand if we don't do the sugi inside, but we'll read it anyway. Starting the day, Rishon the Rishon Daf Lamagim Lav Amar Avacha Baral Yaakov Shmamina Midei Shlokish Mezamni. Shlokish here you can invite the Torah Shas Bezeh. You look Reish Shlokish, you look like Reish Shlokish if the I guess holds ain't Shefel Chatzichius because the Gemara talks about whether you can designate the lung after it's after the Kana is shechted. I forget the exact scenario. So therefore we have principle. If the Gemara discusses something, that seems to be the assumption that that's halacha. Otherwise, we wouldn't discuss that topic, that opinion in depth. We would say to us about Shiksa, found there's bias who asked this question. After the Dakila, even though it's rejected with time Akrina, it's for Nazarene, Miko meeting. Again, the Mazayin there is talking about inviting a non-Jew, and there's discussion whether you can invite a non-Jew for something which a Jew can't eat yet. So the Rambam, Blessed Dina, the Bryce of Ravach Bar Yaakov, Sarchin Gadol. Okay, amen. It's a question how we're going to study there. The Akasa Tuvashon, the Ketushon wrote, Nike Vavesh, Bishai Shchita, Kenega Mokah, Mokah, Shishak Kpar. If the Veshet comes pierced at the time we shechted, corresponding to the place where you're already shechted, Treifa, Agal Sharo. Piercing Farshim, the Farshim saying that Dafka Kam Shchitas or Veshet is not even happening before the majority of the Veshet was shechted. Avach Shchitas Arubo, but after you shechted the majority of the Veshet, Avsha Kana Lo Nishchatadai, even though the Kana has not yet been shechted, the hole in the Veshet is nothing. Cheshkarnishal is very shechted. Mushmuk on the Atzadami. The Veshet is like Israel itself. Because it's the place which is actually shechted opposed to the lung, which is not the place that's actually shechted. I guess it's just going to explain. We said in terms of the intestines, the treif, if they get a hole even after you shech the Veshet. And so too the hole in the lung, after you shech the kana, like we said. We don't say it's like it's by itself. We don't say the Veshet itself. We don't say that a hole in it will pass it after the majority is shechted. So if I was for the kana as well, after you shech the majority of the kana, there's no such thing as the psul of the kana being severed. Even before you shech the Veshet. Okay, and that is it for today.